A typical student. I have been studying for hours and I still don't understand anything. This student's book is so complex. How am I supposed to understand what climate change is? Oh, I think it's just enough trying for today. I will just simply memorize everything that is written and then repeat it. That way I'll get an A, won't I? A typical teacher. I have been a teacher for more than 20 years. I became a teacher to support creativity in young people, to give them knowledge and help them in their development. But I'm disheartened from what I see today, the sole death of quality education. I see students who face difficulties in expressing themselves, who are unable to do their homeworks by themselves. Plagiarism has become something really common because students fail in truly processing and understanding information. What is happening to our future generation? And where does it all come from? I just can't answer myself. Hello everyone, my name is Kovacheva, and today I'm going to talk about something that is usually not paid enough attention, but at the same time it ruins our society. I demonstrated it to situations, both of which are endemic for our school systems. Teachers and parents keep asking themselves why youngsters are unable to do simple tasks related to their studies. The answer is very easy: functional illiteracy, which has spread like a disease among students. First, let me give you a definition of this term. It should not be mistaken with the illiteracy we all know about, because it is a lot different and with much worse consequences for our society. A person is considered functionally illiterate when he or she cannot use reading, writing, and calculation skills for his or her and the community's development. Or in other words, these are people who can read but cannot understand what they are reading. Latest statistic made by PISA shows that around 40% of the Bulgarian students are functionally illiterate. That is an extremely significant number that puts Bulgaria in the dangerous red zone of functional illiteracy. To humanize this statistic, I will give you an example with a class. If you get a normal high school class with 26 students in it, almost half of them will be diagnosed as functionally illiterate. After I introduced you to the main topic of my speech, firstly, I will tell you why it is such a big problem for our society. Then, together, we are going to look at some of the factors that affect its forming on an individual level. And finally, I will share with you how it affects not only young people, but everyone living and learning in the world. When we say that a functionally literate person is not necessarily illiterate, because he or she manages to use reading and writing for some basic needs, you may ask then, why is it a problem? I will tell you why. Our educational system requires a lot more than being able to read and write. In every class, we can see students who prefer to remember something by rote instead of learning it, because it's easier. But what happens to that knowledge? Does it even stay in their brains for more than a week? No, it doesn't. So why do we even study if we're not going to remember it? Now it becomes clearer for you why I say that functional illiteracy is maybe even worse than the regular illiteracy. But let us go back to our question. We can face the consequences of the problem in many ways that affect us, the students. If in the 12th century the Bulgarian education was called the Bulgarian miracle, and our country was at the top of the world charts, today, by entering a classroom, the good students can be counted on fingers. So in that case, can you tell me where goes the competitive environment that is meant to be giving these students motivation to do better? As a student, I face this every day, even though I study in one of the best schools in my city. And I am not satisfied with the quality of education I receive. Despite being widespread among the younger generation, the functional illiteracy is also really common among adults. But the reason why I decided to speak about how it affects specifically young people is because they are our future. They're the ones who will become doctors, lawyers, scientists one day. And it depends on us if our future will be bright or not. I classify the functional illiteracy as a disease on purpose. It affects that one thing which differentiates the human beings from any other creature. And that thing is the high-level brain activity. Thinking is what has brought us to where we are today at the development of our civilization. It is the offender for the world of innovations we live in. And what is happening now? We are becoming witnesses of a mass degradation. And if we want our world to continue growing in its development, we must take action. To be able to fight functional illiteracy, we should first think about some of the factors that affect its forming in an individual. A major one is the early childhood development. The surrounding in which a child is raised also plays a huge role. Many scientists and psychologists say that the first 7 years of childhood are the most important. But have you ever asked yourself, why is that? Researchers show that around 90% of a human's brain forms till the end of the 7th year. These first 7 years set the basis for overall success in life. That is why parents have the important task to start educating their children from an early age. They should build in a child the habit to read more, because a good reading culture can be really beneficial later in life. In addition to giving knowledge, reading also expands the vocabulary. Writer Catherine Winter says, "The more you read, the more words you gain exposure to." Reading books also improves memory. Writing, it builds analytical thinking. It helps you to focus and concentrate. I'll quote Catherine Winter again, who says, when you're reading a book, all of your attention is focused on the story. The rest of the world just falls away. You can see how something as simple as reading can have a great effect on us. Another important thing that must be taken into account is teachers' role in a child's development. An Australian research by John Hattie suggests that a teacher influences 30% of the variance in a student's performance. Having that in mind, an educator should be providing fun, stimulating, and friendly environment. An environment that captures students' interest. Unfortunately, most of the practices used in Bulgarian education today fail at doing this. We should be looking for new, innovative methods different from the ones we know. We should encourage critical thinking, innovative approaches. We should even teach students not to be afraid of making mistakes, but to be trying again and again. We should inspire them to be provocative, supportive, and creative. For example, to help fight functional illiteracy, I teach English to kids aged 8 to 12. And throughout my teaching, I encourage them to read more and learn about the world we build together by our own actions, day after day. I do all this voluntarily, just because there is nothing that makes me happier than seeing the progress and desire in a child. I will end with a quote which is personally mine. We should teach our children how to think, because the ability to think is as important as the ability to breathe. Thank you for your attention.